right, I made it to the state game lands, a new state game lands, a whole different area, a whole different, same county, but a whole different part of the world here. Whole different neck of the woods, let's say. That's a good way to put it. Pretty excited. I'm going out here. I'm going to check for some waypoints that were shared with me by Eric Barnes. Eric Barnes was the guest on a Talking with Bungie, Death by Bungie podcast, for those of you who aren't familiar with it. But he's given me some pointers. He marked 4 or 5 waypoints for me, shared them with me. I was amazed at how easy it was to share this stuff. I tapped a button and it asked me if I wanted to add it to my phone right in my software in my Onyx app. Worked seamlessly. So I have those coordinates on my phone. I'm going to go check one of them at least out today. That's the plan. So I'm going to hike up in here. I'm at a little parking area. You will see that Genevieve is not with me. Aww. No Genevieve. She's a little under the weather. A lot of stuff going around here. Flus and bugs and allergies and everything else. So hopefully she will be back next week and available next week for a scouting vlog. And I'll update her when I get home on all the good stuff that I find today, hopefully.
Get over yourself. I say get over yourself before you hurt yourself or somebody else.
Well, I made it up here to this clearing. It is not at all what I expected. Coming up the hill, I thought, oh, this is a clear cut where there's going to be tons of bedding opportunity for deer, tons of habitat for deer. It has been a clear cut. It's growing back. All the trees are growing up in here, and I don't know that deer can get in and out of there, especially bucks with big racks. I've walked for a little bit here, about a half mile, a little bit more, have not seen a single deer track. I've seen trails of sorts, but it looks like it's left over from the logging, it's left over from four-wheelers, that sort of thing. It is not deer trails, and I have seen nary a deer track. So this is not going to be deer habitat for me. It's not going to be a target area, which you'd think that that's a waste of time. Is that a waste of time? Nope. I disagree. I don't think it's a waste of time at all. I got some good exercise, saw a fresh area, and checked it off the list. So I know that this is not a place to put, this is not a basket to put my game land eggs in, if that makes any sense. No problem. Well, I guess it wasn't a complete waste no matter how you look at it. First of all, I kind of wadded it up here, but I found myself a nice leaf, okay? A nice red oak, some sort of red oak leaf, whether it's a pin oak or one of those. But I also found a nice little clearing in the middle of all this. I was walking up and down the road, and I saw a deer trail leaving it, and I walked up in here, and there's a little bit of a clearing in here, which at the right time of year might serve as some sort of bedding area. That plus oak trees. Well, maybe we got something. We're going to mark it on the old phone. Found a nice rub down below, but it's ancient. It's more than a year old. Something ran out up here, so I kicked the deer, I think. Maybe quite a bit of racket, so I'll go look for some more sign over in that direction. Trail that the deer were on, the ones that I heard run off in the distance, went up the hill. I followed that out of that clearing. I wouldn't do this any other time of year, but what the heck, I'm already here. I already bumped them. If I don't do it every week, it'll be fine. The bad news is I haven't seen a lot of rubs, have not seen a lot of scrapes. Found some sign down the bottom of the hill there, a little bit here and there, so I know that there are deer here. The ones that I heard, that sort of gives me an idea that there are deer here, but this is not deer thick like the other state game lands I've been on here recently in the previous vlogs. The nice thing, though, the good news is, to get to this point on the state game lands, I do not have to walk up that deer trail and bump deer every time I come up here. Down here, I found the logging road where it comes out, so I can actually circumvent, go all the way around that clearing, all the way around that thick stuff that I just walked through. I am surprised I am still wearing a hat because it kept getting pulled off. But it's kind of fun to do this stuff anyway. But I wandered all the way up here. But now I can get home, back to the parking area down this little logging road. And I can avoid that whole area bumping deer if I were to come up here and hunt. I do want to check out one of Eric Barnes' points up on top here. That's where I'm headed. I'm about halfway there. So, and that's where the deer were headed, incidentally. So maybe that's a good sign. We're going to go check it out. At the end of this trail here, out through here, there's this really nice section of hardwood flats, oak flats. There's oak trees throughout there. I'm betting they're oak trees. I'm seeing all kinds of acorns and stuff, so it tells me there's a lot of oaks in the area. Managed to find and mark on my phone some white oak trees. That's my current thinking anyway, is mark the real good stuff. Come back, check it later, maybe one time before the season, see if it's producing. And if there's a bunch there, maybe hunt that. But this clear cut behind me, down the hill from me, is growing up so thick. There might be pockets in there where deer can bed, but it's not something I'm going to wander out through and try and decipher whether it is suitable deer bedding habitat. I don't know. The oak flats, on the other hand, I'm wondering if hunting the perimeter of that thick stuff wouldn't be a bad idea. Plenty of opportunities to hang a climber tree stand right here along the edge of this and try and catch deer coming out at dusk, heading out into those flats to feed on the acorns. That might not be a bad plan. Well, I have just found something that is very important when scouting. A seat. You see that? That big rock right there? That's going to be my seat for the next few minutes while I drink some water, look at my phone, and decide where I'm going next. Well, I'm getting closer to the top of this section of woods here, following the logging trail, what's left of the logging road up the hill. And I haven't seen rubs. I've only seen a couple of rubs. I've not seen any scrapes, even where I thought there should be scrapes. Like where you got a nice overhanging branch, I'm not seeing scrapes. Not seeing an awful lot of deer activity other than the ones I bumped. I'm seeing plenty of acorns, many of which aren't even eaten. Kind of interesting. You can see this logging trail continues up the hill here, and there's a well-beaten path going up that hill. Now, maybe that's routine deer activity. I don't know. I suspect it is left behind by the boots of rifle hunters who really, really pushed and pressured this area back in the day. I could be wrong, but this doesn't look like a deer trail to me. I'm not seeing any evidence of deer activity along this. I'm seeing no sign, no deer tracks, no rubs, scrapes, nothing. All I'm seeing is a well-worn path where people just like me have wandered up here before, and maybe that's what that's from. I could be wrong. Still a beautiful day. In case you were wondering, and you're probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. If you're wondering about my new boots, talked about them in the previous vlogs here, they're working out great for the most part. Comfortable, feet feel great, keeping my feet dry, nice and warm, got no problems there. They have great traction compared to the rubber boots I was wearing, so not slipping, nothing like that. And in the icier areas last week, they performed perfectly. They are, on the outside of them, they're $39 boots. I don't expect an awful lot out of them. But on the outside of them, it says scent free. They're scent free boots. And I'm not going to wear these for hunting anyway, so that doesn't really matter. But I will say this. They are the smelliest boots I've ever owned. And it's not my feet either. It's the boots. Every step that I take puffs this odor of rubber and almost like burnt rubber. It's a burnt rubber smell almost up out of those boots. The inside of those boots just really smells. They're brand new. I left them outside for a whole week and it didn't get better. So I don't know if that's something that's going to be a permanent feature of these boots or what, but I really don't care about the odor I'm leaving here because I don't intend to come here an awful lot, but it just is an uncomfortable smell to keep smelling every place I go. I was walking around last week with Genevieve and I was like, man, what's that smell, Genevieve? And she goes, I don't know. Every once in a while she get a whiff of it. And it was these boots. Put them in the car and holy cow, could I smell it in the car when I got them out of the bag and all that kind of stuff. So I might run them through the scent crusher locker, run it through that, my scent crusher machine, the ozone. That will break it down somewhat. Also breaks down the boots a little bit with rubber boots, but whatever. I'll keep them outside, see if that helps. I think the exposure is better if I'm over like this. I could be completely wrong here, but I did come across one thing that I think was a scrape. Now, when I got to looking at it, the leaves are all pushed back. It's got all the markings of a nice size scrape, 3 feet across, that sort of thing. But there's no licking branch over it. And I got to looking at it closer, and there's a branch sticking out that has been cut off, and I think I found the end of it. I think this was a scrape. I think someone coming through here had their hat knocked off by the branch, and then they took it out on the branch, cut the branch, and ended up with no scrape left for the deer. Anybody know what these are for? These little guys, these ribbons, what they indicate, who put them there, that sort of thing. I've seen these in several different spots out through here, and I don't know if that's a sign I should be aware of from other hunters saying, hey, I want to hunt this spot. If it is, I would respect that to some extent. On the other hand, is it something the Game Commission put in here for me to take notice of something or to let loggers know something like that? Anybody have any ideas what those are for? And I can see more of them down here on the other side of this little thicket here, so kind of interesting. I'm on the top of the world. I actually really am up here a long ways. If you look behind me, man, we're up in the air. That is some view up here. There's a lot of little trees in front of me, but this time of year you can still make out that view. It is gorgeous, and I am up in the air. I have reached the top of the logging road, the logging trail that I was on, so I have now gone entirely around this clear cut as much as is passable or accessible from a road. To go further into this, I would have to walk through it, and I'm not going to do that. I have a real good feel for what's in there. You can see behind me the tall trees are probably mast-producing trees left behind by the Game Commission, by the loggers who performed that work on behalf of the Game Commission. Place looks great. We'll see what it means for hunting, but the downside of this trip is I did not make it out to any of the points that I marked on my phone ahead of time that I wanted to hunt, that I wanted to check out and scout. One of the good things about this is that I don't think Genevieve would have gotten as much out of this. I know where to take her next time to go to that top shelf that I wanted to check out, that area up there. She will enjoy that a lot more than this. Here, no shed antlers to find, nothing like that. No unique little mushrooms or anything like that that you're going to find here, stuff that really encourages her, that excites her. So it's almost for the best that she didn't feel like coming today. We'll make the best of next weekend, though. So I will have to come back. So this is going to have to be continued.